Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cardboard Conversations. We've got a massive episode, a full list of things to talk about today. We are Patless, not to be confused with Pantless. Pat's not feeling great today, so he's going to take a step out for tonight. But we got Bob, we got Matt, and should be
And I
chatting
am
about
pantless.
random things tonight.
I wouldn't say it's so random. So there's a few things for us to cover tonight. I know one of them we didn't get to last week, though we had begun to introduce it, and that was the concept of powering down decks, making it more enjoyable for everybody at the table.
Yeah, I had an experience in my personal play group about a month ago. One of the players expressed his unenjoyment of Magic in general at the table. There's two of us that like to play the best decks we can play within reason. Like we don't. Well, he actually one of us was playing combos. I wasn't. I wasn't playing any infinites. Or I wasn't intending to. There was one of the decks that I was playing with. I had one infinite that I removed. But and for me personally, I just like to play very powerful things. So at a certain point, the games were I wouldn't say they were ending super fast, but they were ending by like turn 6, 5, 6, 7. And he was mentioning that he would rather play a game out to like 7, 8, 9, and actually have like a chance to. I mean, he hadn't won a game in like. Or maybe he won one game in a couple months. Because he doesn't like to play all the best powerful cards. He likes to play some of the more niche, the more niche strategies, like plotting with Fibblethip, and they're not underpowered necessarily, but compared to what I'm playing, Animar Cascade and Henzi Toolbox Tor with just a bunch of value creatures, like it's hard to compete in that meta. Especially when you have like the tutors and such, because he doesn't believe in tutors. I think I'm coming around to not, and this is part of the conversation of powering down. I think I'm coming around to they probably should remove tutors from Commander. I actually agree with this.
I mean, my power levels.
Well, I mean, they're just boring.
Power level of -1, I'd play it. I'm not there to win ever. I don't really care. I do like to win when it's commander raids and it's a team effort. That I do want to win, and I'll try hard there. However, I do kind of like handcuffs. If I was going to play any format at all, it's going to be some form of sealed in a competitive fashion, just so that it levels the playing field, and you can't go in with design decks that are like, oh, look at me go off on turn 2 or 3. I don't want to sit and watch other people play Magic. I want to feel like I'm actually playing the game.
Yeah.
And getting 2 or 3 turns, especially if you miss a land drop, you're out of the game.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. That is not that's not fun to me. I don't mind Battle Cruiser, and I don't mind seeing people pull off combos so long as they're not on turn 2 or 3 or 4. I would rather it be some sort of build-up, and I get to see interesting interactions, and I get to see some back and forth, and have other people feel like they're in the game. So I get it with the power down. I'm more in that camp. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a high-powered or competitive scene, but certainly you have to gauge your audience, right? Who's at the table.
And that's kind of what we decided to do. So I came up with, like, listening to everybody's feedback, I came up with like this. Actually, I could probably pull it up on the stream here as well. I came up with like this image that kind of just goes over. I plan to do a video on this as well because it's I think it's it's worthwhile. So these are our house rules for our Commander games that we're testing out to see how they feel. I mean, they're pretty simple. They kind of hark back to. You could kind of say you can go with like your deck's a 4, your deck's a 3. You could kind of do the power level thing, but these are more generic than that, I would say. Like no instant win combos, Thassa's Oracle, Kiki Jiki, being able to like make copies of stuff. It's just basically no instant win combos. Like it's super easy just to play Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation and win. And I know that CEDH, that's kind of like their staple. I don't get it. I don't get how people enjoy it. It's very boring to me. It's like the game just kind of ends. It's very abrupt. Life total means nothing. It's very weird.
I mean, whatever it is to each player, and I don't like to tell each player how they should enjoy the game. Though I will contribute to a conversation of how I enjoy the game.
Yeah.
And this is literally rule 0, and this is where I kind of weighed in on the whole new, what do they call them? Deck rankings. They call them
the power rankings.
Yeah, whatever they're, what do they call that? I don't even know what it's called. I care less.
The brackets.
The brackets. That what you're talking about is 100% what people should be doing, regardless of a bracket system. And that's rule 0. And that's 100% the example of what rule 0 is there for. It's to control the environment, to give everybody a equal playing field on how everybody there wants to enjoy their Magic experience, at least that time. Even if you were at a MagicCon or wherever you might be with your regular pod at the LGS, you should have these conversations beforehand. And I don't think that the bracket system is ever going to solve those issues where people feel like, well, that's, even though it's technically a bracket 2, it's really a bracket 3 or 4 deck, like just because it wasn't on a game changer list, other people can break stuff on there. You could break decks without being on the game changer list.
Oh, easily. My decks are very strong. Even after removing all tutors, limiting the actual redundancy of the deck, no game changers, my decks are still very strong. And it's not necessarily intentionally. Well, I mean, it's intentionally because I like to have fun. I like to win. But I even like house. I'm not even following all the rules. I'm following all the rules plus some self-enforced rules. For instance, Archon of Cruelty. Nate, for instance, hates the card. It's just so powerful. It's so game changing. Is like, especially when you cheat it out. If you pay the full mana, the full 8, it's not so bad. But when you're like reanimating it, or casting it for cheaper costs, it gets a little out of hand, especially if you have haste. It's very like, lose 6 life, you gain 6 life, you draw 2 cards, they lose 2 cards, they sack 2 creatures. It's just like, it's very, and it's a very consistent thing when you're playing a reanimator style deck.
Big tempo change for sure.
Yeah. So I'm even like banning that card basically.
If you could make copies of that, dude, like
it's not a legendary, so yeah.
So I mean, well, even if he's legendary, you play that mirror box, and you can get around the legendary rule easily. But if you can just bring him out, blink him, just so many different ways to abuse him.
Yeah, Benson, I wrote these.
So even if you pay the 8, there's a way that, like, if you just replicate, it's like, okay, you're the only one playing Magic at that point. But I get it.
Benson, we're talking about powering down at my personal table. We basically, one of the players expressed his distaste for how the games were going. We really didn't do any instant win combos. Well, one person did, but it was like kind of light. We didn't really do. There was some evidence of hard locks. Like, I played Blood Moon in my mono red deck because that just kind of makes sense to me. It's a powerful card. It locks people out. Why wouldn't I play it? But why wouldn't I play it? The answer to that is because then nobody gets to have fun but me. And it's one of those things where it's like, somebody was playing Grave Pact in a deck that, like, it's like a mono black deck that it basically means you'll never have creatures in the field. Stuff like that. Or shards, if you're playing like an artifact or an enchantment deck, or shards just completely decimates you and it keeps you out of the game unless it gets removed. And it's just, these cards, you have removal, but a lot of times these decks have redundancies of those effects, and or can get them back, and or take you out of the game so fast that even if you do remove it, trying to come back, all you've done is remove the thing keeping you down, but the other player has still done a bunch of other things. You're so far behind.
The pace changed like too hard to overcome.
It's just like you can't. Like, you're out of the game and you're just watching everybody else play. So that's kind of the idea, is like to try to limit that a bit. So far, it's better. I'm being told that my Animar deck is still too strong because of Animar, not necessarily the deck itself, but just because of Animar's. He has the native protection from black and white. He has the built-in cost reduction to all the creatures. So just by being a creature that I can cast for 3 guaranteed every game, the redundancy of the deck is pretty easy to. I mean, he's hard. He's a good commander, so it's hard. But I mean, I play him in Cascade. It's like the 11th most. It's like the 11th popular deck on EDH Rec, for instance.
I'd like to address Daniel's question there. I mean, it's a great question, and the short answer, Daniel, is there is no short answer. Right? It depends on if you could bring that up there. I'll read it out loud if you could get it up on screen there. He says, "Hey guys, just bought a new deck. Picked up Necrons from a mate. What's the next step after? Do I leave it as is?" Well, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what do you intend to do with this deck? Are you trying to go in and play competitively? Do you just like the idea of the Necrons? Are you a Warhammer 40K fan? Like there's so many different answers to that question, and the first question you have to ask is, what is it you're trying to do? Right. So if you're trying to win, Matt knows a great site that can give you all kinds of suggestions for synergies with your deck. It's called EDH Rec, and I know Matt uses it quite frequently. I don't know if you have other new sources, Matt.
Oh, I've got all kinds of tools in my arsenal. Yeah,
but
MTG Assist. If you like a specific card effect and you want to like look up a card and then look up other cards that are very similar in effect, you can go mtgassist.com, I think it is. None of these are sponsors, by the way. But they all, they're all tools in the arsenal. EDH Rec is really good. Commander Spellbook, if I remember correctly, is another one where it's just like you put your deck in there and it tells you combos that you have available. And if you don't have any combos available, it'll show you below that. If you add a card, what combo will be available, or if you add 2 cards, what cards will be available if you want to do combos. But if you're just like talking about you're just getting into Magic, depending on your play group is what matters, because that's the whole point of this conversation, is that right now your precon deck would fit in nicely with the way my buddy likes to play. He likes to play like 2s and 3s, and I like in the lower end of 3s.
You might want to explain what a 2 or a 3 is.
So if you're not familiar with the bracket system, a 2 or 3 is basically precon, upgraded precon. They're optimized. So 2 is, I believe, the precon, and then 3 would be like an optimized precon. Like you would take out the bad cards that don't really make sense, and that's kind of probably where you're at. You're at the 2 precon level. I believe the Necron deck is the mono black Necron. I probably have it here. Give me a second.
I have it somewhere. I don't think I've ever taken it out of the box.
Yeah.
But the next thing I would recommend is if this is your first foray into Magic,
the Silent King.
If this is your first entry into Magic, I would highly suggest. I don't have the link handy. Do you have the link handy for our Discord? We have a format that is fantastic. Even if you want to just try it by yourself, we developed what's called Commander Raids. And if you're just getting started, you can actually try out your deck and learn the synergies against the raid monster. It's not perfect for what would be traditionally gold fishing against an actual opponent, but it's not bad. And it can give you an idea of it's what I do when I build new decks, is run it against the raid monster and see some of the combos that come out, some of the interactions of the card, really get a feel for how the deck will play. And you could even jump in on a game of Commander Raids with other folks. They might see things and explain things to you that you may not understand, rules and all that kind of jazz. And it's a good way to get started, especially with a new deck. And every time you start making changes to your deck, you can just run it again against Commander Raids. But Commander Raids is actually meant to be, it's a co-op format. It's not competitive. You don't play against each other. You play against a raid boss. But it is perfectly viable as a goldfishing test. But again, you really need to answer the question of what is it that you're trying to do with the deck. And I know that sounds maybe simple, but it's really not a simple question.
Yeah, there's probably also if you I just posted the Commander Raids Discord and also the Commander Raids how-to video. It's still fairly up to date. There in the comments section there should be a link to the Word document that just has the rules of how to play. There's a couple Commander Raids specific rules like counter spells, for instance, are changed slightly. Actually, I shouldn't say changed. They're completely changing the Commander Raids because the raid boss doesn't have the interactability of a real player, so it's changed the behavior.
There are some things like it doesn't have a deck, it doesn't have a hand, it doesn't have cards.
It does cast spells. They are legendary sorcery, non-creature spells, but it's one of those things where it is in a different format for sure, and it even you can build around it as well. There are a lot of cards that are specifically good for Commander Raids.
Oh yeah.
Scheming Symmetry is really good. Well, actually, maybe not. It might be target opponent.
Some of those are some of the ones that are particularly good in Commander Raids are actually kind of too good. I don't.
Oh no, it's great. Yeah, it works.
Like there's a card called Collective Voyage that Matt really doesn't like to see us play.
I don't dislike it. It's just super strong.
It just trivializes kind of the format. To give everybody 8 lands in one turn is just kind of busted.
One of the new Final Fantasy commanders is
really
Lightning.
Good.
She's really strong. Double all damage the raid monster receives. Super strong.
Well, that's good news. I mean, I would hate to marry somebody that only likes me for my beard.
True.
That Love
would
you
be
too.
Strange.
But yeah, I mean, feel free to join the Discord and pop in, and if you I'll even run you through it if you poke me on Discord. I'm MTG Gaming Bob on there, and you can poke me and I can run you through how it works. Not during the show, clearly, but like I said,
we do play Commander Raids on the show plenty of times. We do Commander Raids box breaks where we when a new set comes out, potentially not with Spider-Man, but when a new set comes out, we'll play Commander Raids and we'll crack a box and try to build a deck out of that and then play Commander Raids with those.
Well, that's an interesting question, and lots of people have different hot takes. I bet Matt and I even have different takes on this. In my opinion, I would first learn Commander itself as a whole, and that takes a long time. I mean, I've been playing for 30 years, and I'm still constantly learning, and there's politics involved and all that stuff. CEDH is a whole different beast. You play differently. You really need to be playing pretty much some of the meta decks, or you're just not going to be competitive. So if that's what you're looking for, it's in CEDH, it's more about not making mistakes, making the optimal play lines, not so much about which deck you're bringing to the table, so to speak. When you get to that level, it's like chess, where you pretty much know what moves you should be making. As soon as you make a move, the other 3 players, if you haven't made the right one, they're going to know immediately you made the wrong non-optimized play, or guess what you have in your hand by what you played. It's a very different level of playing Magic.
Yeah, it can still be fun. If you're looking for a channel that does a lot of CDH content, there's a channel called Play to Win. They basically only talk about CDH. Probably 95% of their content is CDH based. They talk about the hottest commanders, how to ramp in, the best ways to ramp in CDH, the best cards coming on every set, stuff like that. They go over a lot of things in detail, and they even give like their examples of the best commanders based on statistics, because there is a competitive scene. That's the reason why it's called CDH. But there is a competitive scene where they actually, you can go and look at the tournament results and actually see decks, most deck lists that are posted of like what's won the most tournaments. And if you want to play like Timna and Crom, which is also most notably called as Blue Farm, that is like the most popular, CDH deck out there, or Timna and basically Timna and add anything. Basically, Timna is very powerful just because it gives you access to 2 colors, and because it's partner, you're able to pair it up with another thing that adds 2 colors. That's kind of the benefit of having a partner. You just pick whatever colors you want, and ideally in CDH, you're basically trying to play all of the colors and getting the best cards of all of the colors.
What I will say,
Well,
because it seems like you're seeking just some general advice for beginning. I don't believe that CEDH is anywhere near the most popular way to play Magic. I would say by far, in general, regular Commander is probably vastly the largest format played. Like at kitchen tables, in LGSs, regular Commander is going to be the bread and butter. That's going to be where you're going to get most people. Most people I know of do not play CEDH.
Yeah, I don't. I actually like high powered and I like combos to some extent, and I don't even play CDH. I've played CDH like 5 times.
Yeah,
I technically have 2 CDH decks built, but we played one game and nobody enjoyed it, and we just were like, all right, and move on.
And looping back to the beginning topic of tonight, Pat is not well tonight, so he is not going to be feeling good. So sorry if that was a requirement for you to show up there, Time Capsule, but we're Patless. But looping that back in to answer your question, because these are great questions, especially based on the topic that we started with tonight, which wasn't even the topic I would like to discuss and promise to, and that is what you really want to find out is not how well you can play the game, just purely, or how much money you can get back in returns if you start going down the whole collector route. Find your happy place. Find what makes you enjoy interacting with, and I'm not even just going to call it a game, I'm going to call it a hobby, because there are so many dimensions to it. I really wouldn't call it a financial vehicle if you're doing it that way. I'm just going to say you're doing it wrong. You can make money, but that should not be the point of the hobby. So start playing, find out what makes you happiest when you're playing, and then kind of go from there. Start finding the different things that make you happy. You might find that you like Friday Night Magic at the LGS because it really, Magic the Gathering largely should be about the gathering. It should be about getting together with other people and having fun. And there's a lot of people that love going down to their LGS on Friday nights, and especially pre-releases, that you get together. How do you get in the LGS scene? Well, I'm trying to get there. What I'm going to recommend is perhaps, and I don't know how close one is to you. We're lucky. Matt and I have probably a dozen within 30 minutes of each of us. We both live up here near the great CLE, and it's a pretty healthy Magic scene here. A lot of them. Compared to like Pat, who has to drive like an hour to get to the only LGS in range, unfortunately. And so I don't know what your LGS scene is like, but if you want to get into the LGS scene, I would highly recommend, and I mean highly recommend, that your first experience might be a pre-release. And talk about great pre-releases coming up. The next one's going to be Spider-Man in about a month. I think it's on the I don't know when pre-release is going to be. I think it releases on the 27th of September. So probably like the 20th or so. You might want to check into your LGS. Just either look online, call them up, however you interact with your LGSs there, and whatever your scene is like. Try to see if you can't find a spot for Spider-Man. You might even want to call them to like reserve a spot, reserve a pre-release kit. Some places are very tight on their allocations for pre-releases, especially on these specialty sets. But what you'll find when you go to an LGS for a pre-release, in general, though we're a socially awkward bunch, people will help you get into the Magic scene, especially the LGS owners, generally.
Yeah, I mean, they
genuinely want to. You should go back and watch one of our videos when we had one of the LGS owners here for a rather large store in the Cleveland area called Recess Games. He came on and talked about the whole idea of building a community. So they really want to have you there. They want to have you part of the community. You can start by just talking to the LGS owner and asking their advice. Like, how would it be best for you to get in? They may have specific days for Commander. They may recommend coming into a pre-release. I highly recommend it, especially for newer players. It's a great way to get your feet wet into the game at not a terribly expensive rate.
Very good episode, by the way.
Not this one. He's talking about the LGS owner.
This one's fine.
So that's. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of things to get into for new players. I think we even did a recording once upon a time for getting started. I'm not sure. We've done hundreds of videos.
Remember. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
But yeah, and I don't mind answering your questions either. Though I did want to kind of get to one of the topics that I promised Michael Superbacker. Yeah, please. Because we're so good at the YouTube thing. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want extra bonus content every week on Saturday at 8 p.m., consider becoming a member for just $1 a month. But I would like to start talking on the back half of the show here about something that was requested that I talk about on the show tonight. One of the unfortunate things that's going on in the community, speaking about Spider-Man, for the last few months, and people seem to have a very narrow conception of time, that there's a beginning to become an outcry about lack of availability for collector boxes specifically, not just starting with Final Fantasy, but it kind of kicked off from the Lord of the Rings Holiday Edition. Do you even have any of those left?
No, I sold both of mine. They were far too expensive to keep. Well, I had one. I opened one and sold one, I should say.
Is that a Throne of Eldraine's one behind you?
On
top shelf? Above Outlaws of Thunder Junction?
There's a Foundations. This one?
No. It's really directly above your head. If you raised up your left arm, right above OTJ. Above OTJ. There you go. That one. What's that?
That's Wilds of Eldraine.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Wilds of Eldraine.
You said Throne of Eldraine. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want one of those boxes. We might have to work out a trade. Would it be worth it to buy Spider-Man?
I might have
resell?
to.
My friend wanted to ask. Wow.
I think I opened one.
This gets into like part of the topic that I wanted to talk about, and that's combating bots. That's going to depend. It'll depend on the price that you get it at. It'll depend on the price that you can sell it at.
It'll depend on how long you want to hold it for.
Yeah, Matt has a great video he just produced like a week or two ago, right, about selling sealed.
Yeah, I did a video. Basically, goes over the question you just asked, like if it's worth buying, when it's worth selling. Right now, the market's just a quick TLDR. The market's in a big bubble. I don't like $1,000 for collector boxes that aren't even out yet is insane. There's a lot of scalping going on. There's a lot of control of the market. There's it's a lot of hype and speculation. A lot of cards. A lot of people. I think people are so worried that like when a collector box is coming out for any kind of special IP, they're so worried that it's going to be bought out so fast and they won't be able to buy it. That's why it's spiked so high.
FOMO. FOMO is real in this hobby.
Oh, I thought you said like you were ooh.
No. FOMO. No. Yeah, FOMO is definitely a big key driver, and I agree with that. And I've been saying it for a while. I do believe that this mania reminds me of the great tulip bubble. You can Google that if you don't know what that is. And it's just a matter of when the music stops playing. As far as musical chairs and who's going to be left holding the bags. But it is cyclical. Rudy also talked about, if you don't know who Rudy is, Alpha Investments. Talks about that. It'll go up, it'll go down. There's cycles. Things are in vogue and then they're out of vogue, and that'll control prices. And don't forget, anytime you buy something, you have all kinds of costs associated with it. Your time is a cost. Driving your car with a gas is a cost. Shipping's a cost. Taxes are a cost. So even buying it, in my opinion, it has to double before I would consider selling anything, because it's going to eat into your profits greatly, especially when you're talking about booster boxes, which I assume you mean play booster boxes. You're only talking, I wouldn't buy it above retail at around $145, not to sell it. If you're going to buy it to have fun with it, then that's your that's your comfort level on how much you can afford to spend on a hobby, how much you want to splurge to spoil yourself.
Yeah, I would definitely not go on Amazon. I would not go on. I mean, maybe eBay you can find some deals, but it might be a little more risky. TCG Player is okay. Sometimes they run special deals, like they did with Final Fantasy. They ran like $140 sale for like a day, and I think like I don't know 7,000 or 10,000 boxes
they didn't
sold in
run
there
the
one
sale.
day.
They ran TCG Player is just a consignment website.
Yeah, they ran a promotion. They basically paid the sellers to sell them at that price.
I don't think so.
It's a special deal with that. They basically remove the seller fees.
Okay,
that's how it works.
What I'm saying is, they also gave bonus bucks.
Yeah, you got an extra percentage for your next prices, which keeps you coming back to their store. It's profitable for them to do this.
Sure, but I wouldn't say they necessarily put the boxes on sale. They incentivize sellers to sell their boxes at a discount. At any rate, 150 pounds. I don't know how to equate that, and I don't know, is that British pounds? And if I'm right, isn't that like you're probably talking $225 US, somewhere in that ballpark? If I had to do rough conversions in my head, which is basically the going rate at this point. I think it's going to be around that $225 level. They've already said that this is not a one and done print run. They literally came out last week and said that. So I don't see these shooting up to $300. And honestly, the set power level looks low.
It looks pretty bad.
And
there are some good cards, but
yeah, I think it's going to hurt it. So our general advice when we're talking about the finances of Magic is buy what you're comfortable if it goes to zero. Then anything else that happens from there is gravy, right? If you're buying specifically to make money, I'm going to highly recommend that if you need to earn money, you invest in more traditional investments that are more solid, less volatile. It's not going to be a get-rich-quick thing. Use it as a hobby is my suggestion. I would not use it as a vehicle to get rich. Now, if you maxed out all of your tax-deferred buckets and all that stuff, whatever you have over there, and you're trying to diversify, it's not the worst diversification you could get into, but it would be like the same money you're spending on entertainment, going to eat out, maybe, investing in gold or something or crypto. I don't recommend any of those as primary investment vehicles, but as a fun hobby that might have some money associated with it, it's not the worst. And none of it is a sure thing. It's no matter what point in history, no matter what part of the bubble you're in, it's not a guaranteed return on money. That's for sure.
It's also a little annoying to do.
Oh, absolutely.
if you don't mind the buying and reselling, it's like fine, but I don't know. Keeping track of inventory takes some effort. Keeping track of like when to sell and when to buy and when to sell. Knowing where to buy them from is also really important. Like I would never, unless the deals are super good. Sometimes you can lock in really good prices on Amazon once the product gets first announced. Sometimes you can actually they have like the pre-release lock-in price. If you can get them at a good price, I would lock them in. I would do it no matter what. If Amazon near you or Amazon delivers to you, I would lock in the price the moment the product comes out. Just pre-order everything. The reason I say that is just because you don't have to pay any money. You only get charged when the product gets released.
Hold on. We have to be a little cautious on advising that because we don't know if Amazon UK functions the same way they do here in the US.
Sure. Verify that Amazon doesn't pre-charge you for pre-orders.
They may lock you in. I don't know what the policies are with Amazon. I would say here in the US, Matt's correct, because basically you can just put it on pre-order. They don't charge you here. If you cancel it all the way up to pretty close to the time that they have release, it's generally you've done nothing. You have no money out. All you've done is lock in a price that you're comfortable with before you can get it anywhere else. So I highly recommend against using it for its financial gain. I do not think it's wise, especially when you're first starting. After you've been in the hobby for a few years and you understand the ecosystems a bit better, maybe then start considering it. I would say it's not a terrible idea if you have the extra cash and you're not hurting yourself. It's not a bad idea to have sealed sitting on your shelves. It almost never goes down. It may not go up, but it almost never goes down. But then you have to worry about storage, right? And storage is a real thing.
I need to record that video.
What's that?
I need to record that video. I need to follow up, like I said I would.
Well, and overseas, they don't have houses like ours, right? There, I know that there was some British folks that came over here and were looking at like the average size of a home. They're like, "Oh my God, this is just a single house. We'd have like 4 families living in here." So, storage is a concern in many parts of the world.
Yeah, some people could probably just live in your kitchen, dining room, living room area alone.
Oh, my house? Oh, yeah.
Your ceilings are like way too tall for what's required for a normal ceiling.
But I was just saying that we're kind of used to wide open spaces. Also, I have, really good access to temperature, climate controlled storage spaces. Nice.
It blows my mind that the UK don't have AC. I mean, I guess they don't need it most of the year, but like I still would have it no matter what.
So if you're going to get into the sealed investing and sealed collecting game, you really need to consider storage options, and do you have a good, safe, secure place to store your items, right? So it like I said, it's a very complicated, lots of great questions, especially for somebody new, and I hope you can get some value out of our responses. But it's
consider
it's
subscribing and coming back for more.
It really isn't. It's not a simple hobby, but it is a fascinating one. It's kept me involved for 30 plus years now. I'm playing since 1994. Then here I am still playing Magic and collect. I'm more of a collector at this point than I am an avid player. I don't even know why, but I just like having it around. So you can get into all different facets of the hobby, and there's people that don't even collect the cards. They'll collect the peripheral stuff like dice and boxes and the wrapping and just the artwork and that kind of stuff. So it's a really fascinating hobby to get into.
Indeed.
But speaking of Amazon, for the last few minutes that we have here, botting has become an issue, especially even on sites like Amazon that we were talking about and recommending. And some folks had requested that I give some thoughts on it. And I was like, I know what the thoughts are that I want to try to express. But I did figure that it would be best to even poke AI, and its responses were pretty close to what mine are, but I'll just try to go through them a little bit quickly here. So what the problem is with botting, what's happened here, especially most recently, I think just last week, was the announcement of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is coming out in November, correct? I don't know what the exact release date is.
Yes.
Well, they did the initial show, and they release at those times some collector products on Amazon.
November 21st. Yeah.
And they were gone in 3 seconds. Everything they put up on Amazon sold out in 3 seconds. And that's clearly not people clicking on that and buying it in that short span of time. We know for a fact in the community that there are scalpers out there that are botting all the websites. And I think they've crawled and found all the big ones. Yes, including Game Nerds. It happens all the time on the secret lair drops. And these are high demand, limited quantity products like the bundle boxes. Like when they released the Spider-Man gift bundle box, which I really wanted, it was during the middle of my workday. It was gone in just a few seconds on Amazon, sold out, and everywhere else I could find, sold out, which is unfortunate. I'm a collector. I like having these things on my shelf. Not a flipper. I'm just a collector in the hobby. And I'm not willing to bot. That feels wrong, and I don't want to be an unhealthy participant in the community. Is it wrong for them to grab them and scalp them and flip them and make an external profit beyond what WotC's getting? In my opinion, yes. It's not bad to make an external profit. It's bad to do it in the way that they're doing it, where they're precluding anybody else from being able to buy highly desirable products. It's not like the Lord of the Rings gift editions where you could buy them forever and then suddenly they shot up and then you couldn't get your hands on them. That we're talking about the initial offering. We're talking about the pure releases, and then it creates this hype bubble that you can't get them. That's the Final Fantasy boxes are in that same category. It's kind of like the first one where we saw it at release, and already Spider-Man's gone that way. It looks like Avatar's going that way. And if they don't wrap their hands around this problem, it's going to turn a lot of people off, the collectors that have the money to buy them, the targeted audience, so that just the flippers get them, the botters. And I think that's an unhealthy way for the community to exist. I think that they need to control a more fair distribution of the product. Now, how do you do that? That gets very complicated very quickly. In short, my best suggestion is for the time being, they stop distributing collector boxes. I know Matt's probably going to shake his head. To the distributors, to the LGSs. They just completely cut that off. That they bring the collector boxes in-house only. Maybe even the gift bundles, because these are one-and-done print runs. After they print them, there's no more. They'll still make probably a better profit by selling direct, just like they do the secret layers. It means they would have to beef up their online store presence, but in today's world, there's no excuse for not doing it.
So you're talking about basically use their secret lair store?
I know that's outsourced, which is bizarre to me.
Not ran great.
No, it's terrible. It's a terrible company.
Like take hours to wait in line to hope to maybe get something, and then you don't. And then
it was
sad.
bad when they had it in-house because they didn't invest in the infrastructure and the people and whatnot to run a true e-store. And then they, I can't remember, it's like Speed Fast or something like that is what it's called, or Scale Fast. I can't remember who the company is. But I think they do need to invest in infrastructure, meaning hiring the right IT people, getting the right hardware. In today's world, you can do it on the cloud. Not really all that cosmic, but they do need to hire the right people to build the systems for the POS front end. Like, this is not rocket science. So many companies do this, and they could do it easily. Really, they have to fork out the money for it. And then they could implement controls like limit the number of purchases that a single buyer can do, just like they do on secret layers. And again, I think the secret layers are run poorly. I think they need to improve a lot of this stuff. But I'm talking specifically about how do you address the botting and can you combat it? Understand, botters are always going to get through. They're always going to get through. But if you can choke out the 13 months, love you, time capsule.
Unlucky number 13.
But in order to begin controlling it, I think they need to bring it in-house. And not all products, just the collector boxes and the gift bundles and the secret layer drops. The things that have limited print runs. I'm not talking about the play boxes. I'm not talking about the pre-release kits. I'm not talking about the regular bundles or commander decks or any of that other stuff like the starter decks. The Spider-Man welcome decks. Sorry, those kind of things. Or the starter kits. I'm talking about specifically the products that are targeted most by the botters themselves and they're creating a bubble. It's going to look bad when it pops. It's going to feel bad when it pops. And realistically, WotC shouldn't promote an environment that is a negative experience for their users. They're buying public. That is just bad business. So I think that they could improve it that way. And they would have to stay on top of it. They'd have to constantly have a team of people that's looking at how the botting is taking place. They could implement AI for sure on it. And when they find people being nefarious and they find activity that doesn't work, well, they start adding new code to combat that kind of buying. And, it's a cat and mouse game, just like with hackers. Hackers exist, botters exist. It's very much a similar mentality. And it's people trying to get an unfair advantage. And people bot all the time, even in games, right? I'm sure you've played some games, Matt, where botters come in and they farm something all day long, and it's annoying as shit. And
World of Warcraft, Path of Exile. I mean, there's two right off the bat that botters are very rampant. and they do
they have
ruin things.
technologies you could cross over, right, to combat the botters. They already know some of the signs. You could, I'm sure, as a business, contact, send somebody out to WotC, talk to them and say, hey, how are you combating your botters? Would you be willing to share with us some of the ways that you're detecting them, things that we can look for? How are you preventing some of the botting from taking place?
I think that would be a bad idea, because then it would give the people that are making the bots like the exact details of how to get around it.
No. I'm talking about people from WotC going out and visiting Blizzard.
Oh.
And talking to them. Yeah, I agree. They shouldn't be announcing. No, it should not be, hey, we're going to do this to stop botters.
This is how we're going to stop botting.
Right?
That's a bad idea.
Not. It's like it's telling all the hackers, hey, this is how we stop you. Like, that's a dumb idea. But yeah, it would have to be an active thing. It would not be a one-time fix-all. And some of the things that I highly disagreed with on the other channels, and one of the ones that we got into a rather long kind of hijacked his stream, was anger collections. Went down this hole. And I understand that some people say, print it to the ground. That'll stop the botters. Well, I agree it will, but that's sort of
that's a terrible idea.
Flooding the field to prevent drought. Well, great. You prevented the drought, but now your field's flooded. And you end up in the same horrible condition. We are still in the throes of getting over the Cynthia Williams era, where she did exactly that. She printed so much shit that they were throwing Magic product in landfills. they had on their balance sheets to talk to the investors about how they were trying to cut down on excess products sitting in warehouses that cost them money for storage space. They have to keep, climate controls. They have to keep security. It's terrible to have too much product for the company sitting in warehouses. That is the era from 2021 or 2020. I can't remember.
Yeah,
exactly.
They literally found product that was overprinted, and they actually dumped it in landfills. It's kind of insane.
You can look it online. It's sad.
It's so stupid.
But the problem is they're stuck with it, and they have to pay to keep that shit stored. And nobody wants to buy it because there's no hype at all behind it. Look at the price of Modern Horizons 2. That's one of the ones that's still trying to sell its way through the market. That thing has flatlined for 4 years. That's terrible. And they're still working through it. It's going to be years before they work through all the AFR, before they work through all of the Duskmourn and what was the other one? Not Duskmourn, sorry. The two vampire ones.
Crimson Vow
and whatever the other one was.
The Midnight Hunt.
Midnight Hunt. There's just so much of the product that still exists out there that has never sold. Zendikar Rising, that whole era is just still stagnant as hell, all the way up through at least Dominaria United, because that thing is pretty flat as well. I don't remember the new guy's name that came in from Blizzard from World of Warcraft that's now in charge.
Something White, John White,
something like that. But he clearly has changed their print runs. I'm convinced. It took, if you rewind a few months, I wasn't convinced. I am now. He has definitely tightened the controls down to get it back in line, and I'm sure they're going to tweak those knobs and try to get the print runs dialed in to where they don't have too much sitting in warehouses and they don't have a dearth, where LGSs and sellers can't get their hands on it. But part of that, you have to control the botters. If you just overprint it, you're going to run the product into the ground where people just don't want it.
Yeah.
So the first step, I think, is bringing it in-house. Then when they start allowing it to go to either distributors again, which I still don't understand why they need them. I'm sure they could ship direct to stores. But have the stores,
I don't know.
Have the stores verify that they are not online sellers. There's a lot of bad actors in LGSs and distributors because they're just not controlling who their product goes through. And if you don't think a lot of things out there have product control, look at Cartier. Look at some of these other high-end things. Rolexes, every Joe Bob on the street can't just start selling them online at a discount. That there are products out there in the world that you must be a licensed reseller. You must be able to sell these things, and they will come in and do audits. It would require if you start allowing these products so that you can't have the bad actors in the stores, that you even limit the stores, right? I also think that they should sell them only directly to stores if they're going to let the LGSs have them. Cut the distributors right out of it and require the stores to provide their sales data. Record who they're selling to, especially for online. If they're going to sell everything to one customer that walks in the door, well, that's kind of like the store policy. That's up to them. But if they have an online presence to sell, yeah, they need to provide the sales receipts to make sure that it's not botters that are taking advantage of stores, because they don't have the resources at stores to create an anti-botting network or pay attention to that. But they would have to participate. They certainly could print off or just save off a file and send it to WotC, and WotC does the analysis of, hey, you've got botters that are doing this. And either if they don't provide that, they don't get any more collector boxes or gift bundles, the hot items. And believe me, the stores want those. So if they participate in a program where they're providing that information, that WotC takes responsibility and they do all the scraping of the data, which in today's world could be done in instant with AI and spotting botting. And AI is constantly learning. I think that's certainly a great use of AI, is to start combating the botting. I think it's a perfect way because it can learn, new ways about botting, and you can teach it so that you can come up with more and more solutions as fast as the botters come up with new ways to try to take advantage of things. But I think that would help get the product more evenly distributed into the hands of the people they really want to have it. The legitimate collectors that, like me, that have no intention of flipping it for money, that are a healthy part of the ecosystem. Years from now, people will be able to buy some of the stuff from my collection strictly because I was disciplined enough to hold on to it and not open it, right? And I would very much have given a lot of thought that I'm not just going to sell my product to just anybody. I might even sell it cheaper to somebody that is going to a good home. Like, hey, me and my college buddies, to people that are 40 years old that couldn't afford Commander Legends in 20 years, want to have it to go play a game this weekend at a campground or whatever. I would definitely, that's the kind of audience I would sell my personal collection type stuff to.
Somebody that's going to use it and enjoy it as the actual product's intention.
So I think that there is no perfect solution for botting. That's for sure. There's no one size fits all, and it's going to be an evolving game of cat and mouse. But the way that they currently have it, they have no controls over it whatsoever. It is literally the Wild West and the heyday of botters out there right now.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, Amazon has 0 checks on if you're a bot.
0, right?
It's bad.
And you know what I would do? Fine. Amazon gets no collector boxes or gift boxes.
That would help probably. And
you know what? It's not going to hurt the sale of those boxes, right? Those boxes will sell through other channels.
As long as they have an alternative, like something that they can control, or if they could just ask, I don't know, Amazon to be like, hey, control your. If
there was a waiting list, like there's so many other things that we could get into, but we're kind of running up on the end of the show here, like lottery style, right? I was part of a website that literally just a couple months ago, that's how I got my latest box of Lorcana, did exactly that. It was a lottery. You just entered your name and you could buy it at retail. I bought the first chapter for $140 just in the middle of July because I was a winner apparently on the lottery, and they charged my card and sent me the box. When I got the box, I was like, what the hell is this? And they're like, oh God, I won. They didn't even notify me. It was just like,
that's pretty weird.
Very cool. I got a box of the first chapter for $140. I'm looking at it right now. And I think that clearly you could do that, right? And that was a third party. That wasn't even Ravensburger. It was somebody else doing it for Ravensburger. Pat's the one that sent me the link to it. I was like, holy shit, so yes, that could combat botting. They only let me buy one box, but I got it, right? Imagine if you were somebody that really wanted Lorcana and you got it that way, and the botters just couldn't do it. Right? There's no way to bot that. And it's a lottery system. And they were clearly looking at it, and I clearly was not a botter. And there are many creative solutions that they could come up with, and I'm not even going to pretend like I know them all. I do believe they need to address it, or it's going to hurt the community overall, especially since it's kind of new. They need to start getting out in front of it now, because it really only started with Final Fantasy, where it was a huge problem. I guess you could argue like the secret layers, but
Yeah, it's been, I would say, with Secret Lairs, it's been within a year or two of that being the problem, and then more recently with Final Fantasy, yeah.
well, Final
And now
Fantasy is a much
Spider-Man's
wider
kinda wild.
distribution network, right? So the botters are figuring out all the places, all the key points to bot out in the wider audience. So hopefully that addresses at least most of what some folks were asking me to address this week. Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up tonight. And Daniel, welcome to the wonderful world. And thank you for your comments there, Iroquois Pliskin. That's almost like Snake Pliskin. I don't know what that is. But yeah, it's a problem, and they definitely need to address it, or it's going to become a larger and larger problem moving forward.
Yeah, the prices for people that just want to play the game and open it up and have fun, it is definitely being priced out. I am one of them. I like to open packs of cards. I like the chase of the lottery. I like that's like the enjoyment of it, like pulling the really good card. Nowadays, opening boxes, and it's kind of always been this way, but it's been a little bit more exacerbated with the craziness of the market. Just opening anything. Like I opened a collector box of the Tales of Middle Earth, or what is it? What is it? Tales of Middle Earth? No, the special edition. It was like back when I bought it. I bought it for $280. Oh wow, Twitter 21 months.
Twiddler showing up right at the end of the show. Well, that's great for you since you're a member. You can. We're about to flip over.
To the after show.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody once again for your time. Most important thing you have, giving it to us here again at Cardboard Odyssey on Cardboard Conversations every Saturday at 7 p.m. If you didn't catch us earlier, please make sure that you hit that like and subscribe. If you indeed like and subscribe. If you don't, I wish there was a middle finger button because we'd look at that too.
Sure.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We're going to be going to the show after the show. And
do we have the link for that?
I can give you the link if y'all would like. It's a really cool play. It's a really cool people chilling is what Pat posted as the. This is the link.
And you get to see us even wider.
Yeah, we're in ultra wide mode, more wide than we are now, and it's just $1 to join. If you want to join and come have some fun, we're just going to be, just chit chatting about some stuff for half hour to an hour. So see y'all over there.
Bye. No dancing for us. There's no Pat.
No dancing here.